Hello, welcome to part 3 of the Time Agent Series 1 to 3 rankings. Next up on our list, number 7, is Series 2, Episode 1, The New Member. Now, I used to not really enjoy this one as much as I used to. But after the rewatches, it was actually really good. In fact, maybe some rewatches beforehand. I mean, basically now taking over the series finale and the second and third episodes. So, the story is that there's a kind of alien plague going around, affecting flower aliens, making them go rabid. Apart from some that have been eating chicken feed, thanks to Dan the Cyborg, who are immune. Liam has called in Dr. Robin Turner, played by Alan Rafferty, to investigate. Meanwhile, Hannah is also around. Basically, she's around, making a fuss about Dan not being, still being with Liam, and not being home with her and their parents, and getting into some trouble with the flower alien, and then just being there. Like I said, would have been better if she was a time agent. Much better character development. I mean, she's alright, and the actress does an okay job, but the character would be better if she was a time agent. I'm sure she would have gotten better character development. I mean, like I said, she's okay, but she's one of those characters who appears quite a few times, so it doesn't get as much character development. Heck, characters like Colonel Radcliffe Natesmith get more development with less episodes than her. But this is a good job. Worth noting that Bob, this is his last appearance, at least in Time Agent. He is not played by any of the Williams brothers. Harry, who I don't think he played any flower aliens, to be honest, or aliens, to be honest. Matt or Ethan. He's not played by any of the Williams brothers. And Matt Williams played him in the 3 specials. This time it's Sebi and Jamie Carroll doing both taking turns as Bob the Flower Alien, which probably explains why he's a bit tall in some scenes. But yeah, and his death is his death might actually be the best handled of all of them, because he literally sacrifices himself to become a hero, basically, and he gets killed by the rabid flower aliens. And then his death is actually pretty well handled. And Robin's also a really good character, getting in on the stuff, even though he's only there for a job before being hired full-time at the end. And yeah, it does a good job. And also it sets up the mystery with Mortis wanting to Robin trying to find Mortis. And why does he want to find him? Well, we find out in Redemption of Mortis. And yeah, although that may have come a bit too soon for this overall mystery, especially if it's going to leads into the next series, but it still works pretty much. So overall, The New Member is a very good episode, and kickstarts Series 2 with, well, a meteor crashing into the planet. Yeah, so that was really good. So now, number 6. Number 6 is Series 3, Episode 2, First Contact. Okay, from this point onwards, I should mention that all the episodes of Series 3, apart from maybe the last, possibly the last 2, the last one, Judgement Day, all of the episodes of Series 3 have at least a bit of filler. Judgement Day included, but not as much as the other ones. There's quite a bit of filler in each episode. But with that being said, let's jump into First Contact. This one picks up not too long after the events of Point of No Return. As mentioned before, the executive is annoyed that he hasn't captured Liam, despite having just left him where he was at the end of the last episode. I mean, seriously, man, he was right there. Why didn't you grab him then? In fact, why did you grab Tobias? Why didn't you just grab Liam? idiots. If it was part of the plan, then it would make sense, but then here, he gets annoyed. See what I mean by plot holes? So Liam goes to the contact, and during a meeting, a informant pretty much interrupts them right in the middle of finding out everything. I mean, guy, seriously, man, you want to find out what they're up to, you've only heard about half of it. And then you reveal yourself. Oh yeah, the police only want to discover only half the evidence. Yeah, don't worry about getting all of it, just get half of it. But then again, I suppose in this series, the police are run basically under martial law and under the orders of Vision X, so maybe they don't really care. But even so, you still want to find out everything, don't you? Not just, oh, this and that, but there's more stuff to come. Liam wants to know what's going on. Why don't you wait till they tell him? Idiot. It leads to it does lead to a really good shootout. That is probably the most violent episode of Time Agents, to be honest. And then Liam goes full berserk, which is a really cool moment. Oh yeah, around that point, the informant, when he's got the contact up against the wall, contact shouting, "You traitor!" And then the guy says, "Save it for the firing squad," and then he says something else. I can't quite hear that. What was that? Oh yeah, firing squad. Martial law, Vision X control the policeman. Yeah, murder's allowed. It's pretty much more so than in America. Oh yeah, America's got firing squads. Honestly. Meanwhile, Mortis has found his way to Robin's base, and at the end of the episode, he finds that video file of him assassinating Robin's team. And now Robin has him exactly where he wants him. But for the most of the episode, they're just looking at a body and talking. What? And that's pretty much it for the episode. Apart from, there's one other story that's going on around this point, and this is pretty much... Okay, maybe this is why First Contact's this low on the list. I say this low, at least on the Series 3 bit, episodes from Series 3. Boy, this plot, this subplot that's running through the entire episode. Oh my god, it's the one with George Hunt and Travis. What's his face? I can't remember his name. I can't remember. I think his name was Travis, not to be confused with Travis Gregson from Universals. And this plot subplot doesn't go anywhere. I mean, name has some links with the other plots going on, but in the end, it doesn't really do much. There's nothing mentioned about Travis later on or beforehand. There's nothing mentioned about George. It's just this episode we see this subplot, and it's never brought up again. I think these guys just were not able to get roles as other characters. They just decided to create two other roles and have them run around for a bit, to fight some flower aliens, and then one of them turns out to be working for Vision X. How where was this on the series 3 ranking again? Yeah, thought so. Before the halfway mark. Oh boy. Can we move on, please? Let's move on. We are moving on to the top 5. Number 5 is The Musical, Series 2, Episode 4. I'll be honest, I think this one was originally my least favourite of Series 2, but over time, I just keep finding the episode more enjoyable as I go through. It's not the best episode of Series 2. No, I'm sure you already know that, and if not, you're going to find out. Then, this one's still a really good one. It's Liam going around, he's singing everyone's happy, and he's happy in some places too. People are singing, dancing. Mortis has decided to become friends with Dan. They sing a song or two, and then something inside Liam tries to get him to fight against the happiness. it's also around here that we've first mentioned that Liam has a girlfriend, Katie, who turns out to be Katrina Mills, mentioned in Earth's Guardians, and we see her in the next episode. That's when it's revealed. And yeah, so Liam basically has to fight the false happiness and remember his sad memories, but not to get rid of the sad memory, not get rid of the happiness altogether. He just wants to stop the false happiness, because people have the right to choose what emotion they have. This episode is basically about deciding what emotion, having your own free will to have your emotions instead of having it dictated by something. For example, a alien fairy played by Luke Pond. According to a comment, he was a friend of the family, but let's be honest, he's the weakest actor in Time Agent. Although Emma Shattery in Sins of the Past isn't that much better. But other than that, it's alright. The effects are pretty good, and I love the start where they're fighting the invisible, fire-breathing dragons. And Liam's got the rainbow hat. Oh, that was good. In fact, the Mortis's Mission, the fan film episode by Britty Lee, that's supposed to take place between Redemption of Mortis and the musical. They actually made a next time trailer for Series 2, which that doesn't really happen throughout Series 2 apart from at the end of episodes 1 and 5, but 2, 3 and 4 they didn't have next time trailers. Well, 1's it's more of a coming up, 5's it's more of a next time. But yeah, in their next time trailer, and also in their introduction, they filmed the scene with the hat. Oh, it was so funny. Yes, musical's got some really good moments. It can also be some pretty depressing moments when we're learning a bit more about Liam's history. That was brilliant. He mentions he never knew his dad. His mum was killed at an early age. He didn't mention what age. I'm putting 11, but that... Well, I'm saying 11, but that may be because I'm thinking of James Bond. Because his parents died when he was 11. I don't know if anybody else's parents in fiction die at 11. Maybe it's a common number. Harry Potter learns that his parents were wizards and witches when he was 11, although they died when he was 1. So, I don't know, it's something about the number 11. Maybe it's because of Bond, but maybe it's not 11, maybe it's 6 or 7 or something. He doesn't go into too much detail about his past, but he does hint at it, basically, and this is where the interpretation comes in. And it's stuff like this that we can take notes down to use in our interpretations, similar to other stuff later on we see. And then we see him pretty much defeat the alien by tricking it. Clever Liam. And they pretty much end the episode with Robin coming back, and the portal to the code closed. So yeah, musical ends in a really good way, and yeah, it's a very good episode. Okay, moving on to number 4. Number 4 is Series 3, Episode 3, Downfall. Another really good episode from Series 3, this one just about before the halfway mark. And yeah, there's some filler, but it's actually a really good one, actually. This time, the filler isn't so bad as opposed to episodes 2 and 4 and parts of 1, but especially 4, and maybe even some parts of 5, which we haven't got to yet. But here we see Mortis and Robin. Well, Robin has Mortis where he wants him. Then it's revealed that Mortis didn't kill Robin's team. It was the Black Flower alien. No racism. It's just a flower alien. Come on, guys. Let's not go into all of that. And these flower aliens are kind of mutated. I forgot to mention that there are different types of flower aliens to the ones in the first 2 series. We even see one of those earlier flower aliens getting killed off by one of the new ones at the start of the first episode, where Agent Obadiah has just arrived on Earth. Oh yeah, he's axed off very quickly, by the way. Like, so quickly he wasn't really supposed to be in the series that much. Maybe they intended to have Matthew Perks, his Agent Obadiah, more involved, but he only basically appears in 2 episodes. And he doesn't really get that much to do. In this one, he's he's climbing over some stuff on a beach that's supposed to be another planet. It's Anti-Freedom Marches, I believe. And yes, and we get some really good looks back into the character's history of the time agency. Same, not Katrina though. It's only Liam, Mortis, Tobias, and Obadiah. I guess it's because maybe they can get Emma Slattery to do more scenes than the one she filmed for episode 5, who replaced Laura Dakin because she was unavailable. Maybe they planned to have some scenes with her, but ultimately they didn't get to do it. Maybe the same for Obadiah if he appeared a bit more. Thankfully, John Granston appears a lot more as Captain Tobias / Jerry Smith, so that's good. We even see him in scenes where we don't even need to see him, like in this episode we see him being dragged along a corridor in Vision X when they're looking at the CCTV footage. You didn't necessarily need to be there, you just needed some way of excuse of the executive to discover Robin's location, but it was nice to see Granston back in action. In action as a character, so it's always nice to see him. And yeah, and there's a really great fight at the end where the Flower Aliens are attacking the base, the unit base, and Robin and Alec have to get out of there basically and try and get away. And that's when Robin tells him about the story once they've run away, and then Liam tells them to go to Cardiff whilst he tries to stop Mortis, who's now gone after Vision X, who are the ones who framed him for killing Robin's team. I don't know why they did it. I don't know framed him, and the fact that it took place whilst he was in the code. I don't know. Don't even know how they knew about him. Honestly, these guys. But the Robin is now after the black flower alien, as he says to him when he comes in. You killed my team, you son of a bitch! Yeah, great moment. And yeah, it's even got some light humour, like with Mortis pointing the gun at Alec and said, "Shut up! Get out! I was never here." Okay. And then Alec reveals to Robin that he is gay a few minutes later. So it has got some light humour in it. And whilst this is happening, Liam is introduced to Zoe, but we don't know that it's Zoe until the next episode. And the executive threatens the Colonel and pretty much just replaces him, which is now why he's referred to as Mr. Radcliffe Natesmith on the Wikia page as opposed to Colonel. But some pretty good stuff. Yeah, Downfall, it's very good. And the best thing about it is actually how much we get a look into the past of some of the characters of the Rising Five, and yeah, it's pretty good. So we're into the top 3 now with Series 3, Episode 5, Sins of the Past. Now, this episode is here purely for the fact that we get to see more of the Time Agency in the past than we do in Downfall. Otherwise, I think I probably would have put Downfall above it. But the fact and it's also got a bit more filler than Downfall. But the fact we've got more of the Time Agency in the far future scenes with that, and more about the history of Liam, Mortis, Tobias, and Katrina, not Obadiah though. He's already escaped by this point. And finally, we get some Katrina stuff, even though she's played by Emma Slattery, not Laura Dakin. But oh well, can't be helped. Apart from the fact that they could have gone with a better actress. But the stuff is really cool. The judge, oh, what a bastard. I just want to punch that git in the face. I don't know why he keeps calling Tobias Tobias for some reason. But maybe that's intentional for that dickhead character. And they made him look, his sound come out of sync with the visuals that don't look so right. I think that was intentional though. I think they were supposed to be making this character look like how it turns out, so they probably succeeded there. Maybe there was some sort of technology issue at the time. Maybe the Rising Five sabotaged it. That's a good idea. That's a good plot. Yeah, that's a good idea. The time the Rising Five sabotaged or one of them sabotaged the Judge, which is communication thing, and now his audio looks out of sync and the picture's a bit funny. And yeah, and he calls Tobias Tobias for some reason, although that may just be him. And the visuals, oh my goodness, the visuals look fantastic. I mean, Series 3 and most of 2 and the last special, The Fallen Hero, they were brilliant. They've been up to standards, with the possible exception of the giant flowering, agreeing with Richard B. Brooks on in his review from Five Who Fans there. Back in 2012, Richard B. Brooks did a review on Five Who Fans on Time Agent Series 1 to 3. So I'm agreeing with that. The visuals were by John Grant and Matthew Perks were fantastic, with the possible exception of the giant flower alien that we see at the end of this episode and in the next one. Yet, it's alright, I suppose. I mean, it could be worse. He wasn't drawn like the chainsaws or that Zacatron ship in Earth's Guardians. So we're not in Series 1 visual effects area. We are in Series 3 visual effects, and my goodness, is it brilliant. Like I said earlier, I didn't want to bash the Series 1 production values because, well, some of it I probably couldn't do, another bit, and everything else it's just all low budget. But my goodness, Series 3, wow, they just, and what I'm sure 4 would have been even better, at least with the visuals. They look so brilliant. And story-wise, in the present day, the best stuff is actually with Robin. Well, no, it's not the best stuff, but the most stuff happens with Robin and his friends being split up, and Zoe gets captured by the Flowerians after they attack them near the city. Liam is captured by the executive and in the torture chair. That's the most interesting stuff outside of the time agency in the future. But to be honest, Robin's stuff is much better than Mortis' stuff. He just wakes up under a bridge in the park, and then later on he and Scarlett's just run out from under that bridge. He basically does nothing for the entire day. Poor old Mortis. I mean, yeah, he just recovered from being poisoned after the events of the last episode. But then the rest of the day, he's just hiding under a bridge with Scarlet Brooke. See why I wanted to put this lower than Downfall, but didn't, because of all the future stuff. I mean, if it wasn't for the future stuff, this one probably would have been one of the weaker episodes of the series. Because it's just Liam tortured, Robin and the gang trying to get back to Darkchester, and Mortis is hiding under a bridge with his possible new love interest. And yeah, nothing really happens outside, apart from Liam being tortured and Zoe being kidnapped. Outside of the time agency and this future stuff. Now, they were brilliant scenes. Although, like Richard said in his fan film Drinking Game video, TARDIS Ex Machina, in a moment where, in a show that's pretty much, a fan film that's pretty much divided and moved quite away from Doctor Who tropes and stuff, like we see in Series 1, to become kind of very much its own thing. Time Agent is probably much one of, if not the most, of its own thing, Doctor Who fan film. And that's a fact. No wonder it came second in the Whotubia top 10 Doctor Who fan films or fan film series of the 2000s, or noughties, came second, or at least up to the 2009 specials. And if there's one for 2000, if there's up for the 2010s, I hope this one comes first. If there's going to be some sort of poll someone does for the top 10 best Doctor Who fan films of the 2010s, I want Time Agent near the top for Series 2 and especially Series 3. Yeah. But this one would... Yeah. So yeah, this one's a really good episode. And... pretty much forgot what I was talking about before I started talking about... it was... Oh yeah, TARDIS Ex Machina. So going back to the TARDIS Ex Machina bit, basically what Richard was saying, that at the end of this, near the end of a series that so moved away so far away from the Doctor Who tropes, they bring in TARDIS Ex Machina. Well, off screen, but you can hear the TARDIS sounds just a little bit. Would have been nice to see the TARDIS, but at the same time it probably also would have been a little bit jarring, considering this is pretty much moved quite away from it. But then again, it does make sense, the fact that Liam was, in this universe at least, the Doctor's last companion. As he mentions at the end of Earth's Guardians, he was then entrusted to look after, protect the Earth. So, yeah, it does make sense. And it also makes sense the fact he's kind of abandoned Mortis and Katrina and Elizabeth, who I hoped they would have gone on and try and found her in series 4 or 5 had they gotten to that point, but sadly not. I guess, again, it can be open to interpretation. My guess is that she went back to 21st Century Earth a few years before the event, before Liam and company do, and she grows up a little bit, maybe in 20th Century Earth, very late 20th, early 21st, and she grows up and she joins the Time Agents at a later date, series 4 or 5. So yeah, Sins of the Past, that was really good. Number 2, now we're getting to the really good ones. Pretty much the best 2 episodes of Time Agent. I mean, all of these ones have been we've got 2 6 out of 10s, which were Mortis Code and Liam's Lessons. Then there was 7s from Agent Liam to Earth's Guardians. And then it was 8 from Crescent Street to The Lone Troop. And then Dark Revelations, pretty much this started the top 10. 2 Sins of the Past have been 9s, and now we come to the 10 out of 10s. These are the best 2 episodes of Time Agent. You're not going to get better than this. Number 2 is Series 2, Episode 5, The Nightmare Forest. This is such a good episode. For some reason I didn't think him as keen as it had been beforehand on the last rewatch. But the story is really good writing. We got some clever suspense and build-up. Mortis is great. Jamie Carroll does a really good performance. The Colonel is a great new inclusion to the series. And it's got a really good mystery. I do have to say, they say the Forest of Dean, Hampshire. That's wrong, it should be Gloucestershire. Or New Forest, Hampshire. But I digress. Or Monmouthshire, if they're going to the Wales bits. But even still, it's still a really good suspenseful story for Mortis and Dan. More so Mortis, though, as he gets a bit more to do. And Robin actually gets more to do in this episode than the other 2 episodes of the second half of this series. As he discovers the circle is coming back. Maybe this orb thing that's playing with Mortis and Dan's minds, maybe it's doing it to Robin's as well. Or maybe the circle are trying to come back, I don't know. But, yeah. And Liam doesn't really do that much in this episode until the end when he's talking to the Colonel. And although we do see a kind of a vision of him, the orb is projecting to scare Mortis. So, yeah, it's really suspenseful and it's got some really great moments. And I love the moment when Mortis is running up the hill into the middle of an open... well, not open field, it's kind of in open space of the forest. You'll get those nowadays. An open space of forest. And he's looking for the exit. And he's gone full circle. And the music is pretty much well used there as he's running up. And it's nice to see Mortis actually scared for once. As the fairy in the previous episode called him the monster who's secretly afraid of the dark. And we actually see Mortis scared for the first time. Well, okay, second time if you include being thrown back into the code. But this time it's even more believable. And yeah, it's just a really good performance by Jamie Carroll and a really good episode. It's a shame that we, again, with Ben's death, Ben's wake-up call in Memoirs of the Lost, Dan getting Martin, as he calls him, the orb, at the end of the episode, he's only going to get... Well, the orb never appears again, but he's only got 1 episode before he gets killed off, Dan does. So, yeah, because of that, the orb will never be seen again. In fact, it probably got destroyed with the hub in Best Kept Secret, as did any other flower aliens or creatures they had captured there. But yeah. Oh, and that final scene. Masterful. Masterful setup. Masterful cliffhanger. Masterpiece. Yeah, even better cliffhanger than Sins of the Past one and the Mortis Code one. Yeah, brilliant. Because we didn't know who Katrina was at this point. Well, apart from the fact that she was Liam's girlfriend and the best kept secret stuff. But apart from that, we had no clue why she was a danger. We had no reason to think she was going to be a villain. It was only reason was because Liam and Mortis were saying she was up to something. She is dangerous. They have to stop her. The only reason we can believe that is because Liam and Mortis are saying so, and we trust them. Especially Liam, who looks like he's really, really scared. At that point, he's really worried. So, and we're pretty much Robin and Dan in that moment. They don't know what's up. We don't know what's up. But if Liam says she's going to be trouble, then we better believe it. And oh boy, was she trouble for half the episode. Oh yeah, I'm not getting over that. I'm not getting over the fact she was only in half the episode of Best Kept Secret. I'm not getting over that. Also, fun little thing, you can't watch this anymore, but it was on the Well-Built Extra channel. A deleted, an extended ending, alternative ending I should say, where, well, at the end of this episode, after Liam says, tomorrow can't come soon enough, we get a shot of Dan, Robin and Mortis looking like they're ready for the battle, and then you get the last shot of the four of them standing there, and then Dan's just looking over like that, as they're all just looking forward. The alternative ending didn't have that last bit. Instead, it had a shot of Liam just looking, and then he smiles, Series 1 style. Yes, at the very end, at the most serious cliffhanger, that was the alternative ending. I'm glad they didn't go with that. I'm glad they had the they had the ending they did with Dan looking round, because he's like, oh, are we just going to be like this for a while now, are we? And also that works with Dan's character. With Liam, it would work with his character in Series 1, but by the time of this episode, he's pretty much lost that by now, and he's not quite Series 3 yet, but he's about to go into that one because of the next episode. The events of the next episode. But he's already lost the Series 1 stuff by now. He's pretty much become his own person, as opposed to a David Tennant rip-off character that Billy Tracy seemed to be doing at the time of Time Agent Series 1 and Doctor Who Series 3. He was pretty much acting like the 10th Doctor in some of his stuff, and thankfully Agent Liam has moved on from that to become his own character in the second and third series. And having that alternative ending in the episode would pretty much have not just have ruined the episode and at least the ending of the episode, or the cliffhanger itself. It would have ruined the character as well, as all the stuff we've been building up to. Maybe you could have the first bit of him just looking and then cuts to all of them looking instead of having him smile, but so that would have made having a shot of all four of them and then the last shot. But if not, then yeah, it makes sense to completely cut it, because having that smile in this episode wouldn't have worked. It was kind of this smile. It's kind of a teethy grin kind of a thing, like, oh yes! Kind of a smile the 10th Doctor would make. No, we have to be more serious. And that's why I'm glad that they didn't use that alternative ending. Well, alternative final shot, I should say. Because it would have completely ruined the episode. And instead, we got one of the best, if not the best, cliffhanger of all time of Time Agent, the best Time Agent cliffhanger. And now, number one. Oh goody! Number one is Series 3. Are you surprised? Episode 6. Are you surprised at all? Judgment Day. Not to be confused with the Terminator film of the same name, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. this episode is the final episode of Time Agent, although eventually it was decided not to be. I mean, Billy Tracy wanted to end the series here, but Jamie Carroll wanted to carry on, so that's why they started making Series 4. So they decided to make Series 4 and carry on. But eventually they just stopped. They just stopped making Series 4. It was unfinished. It's now never gone out, apart from some clips and trailers. So, Series 3 is where it ends. Well, the last episode of Series 3. And my goodness, what a way to go out. Even though it eventually became the unintentional ending, it would eventually become the ending, the overall ending. And yeah, you can see why we want more. I mean, look at it. It actually also, as well as being an ending, it also feels like a starting point for Series 4. It also doesn't help the fact that there's a Series 4 trailer at the end of the episode. So, with some of the stuff they did film. So, but, my goodness, this was fantastic. I don't know what it is with this last episode. It just was so brilliant. And it's feature length as well. You thought, what was it? Point of No Return. You thought that was a lengthy episode at 39 minutes. This one, 45. 45 to 46. That's about as long as the modern day Doctor Who episode. And my goodness, does it use that time well. Not for the most part. Basically, now Liam's got part flower alien in his body. He's now part flower alien. So he's battling the executive in some really good fights. And he's now controlling the flower alien. So he kind of warns off some flower aliens. Meanwhile, those flower aliens are still up to their old tricks. They still running around causing trouble. They've turned Zoe into a flower alien. Robin has to kill her after getting into the city using the Colonel's Mr. Recognites jet. He's not Colonel anymore, even though he's got unit personnel. I swear that guy Robin meets on the way in is in an episode of Series 4, where the one where they arrest Nidge for hacking in that clip that they released. I swear it's the same person. That would have been nice to see. So yeah, had that been finished, it would have been nice to see that unit person return in a later episode. Oh well, it was nice to see him in the clip anyway. And Mortis is still with Scarlet Brook until she snogs him and cuffs him to a railing. Ooh, that was actually quite good. And Liam has to get Mortis undone because Mortis isn't strong enough to break free. I want to break free, but I have to wait for Liam to kick it first. Oh, Mortis. But yeah, it's a great episode. And then we get to the halfway point about-ish, and they blow up Vision X Tower, but the executive escapes. And also in this episode, it's revealed that he's immortal, thanks to the flower alien god, as he calls it. And that's why he can die, and then gets respawned. He can come back upstairs, or in another location if he wants. So he can even commit suicide. And then just pop up just a few centimetres away. In fact, in this one scene, he actually prevents Liam from killing him, so that he can kill himself. Brilliant. And Liam's like, no! I don't even know if he wanted to kill him, just wanted to stop him. Oh well. But you can see why he was annoyed, because he escaped. And then, so the executive escapes, so again, open to future season, he could have come back. Because there could have been a big series finale when they decided to stop, or when it was event time to have another big battle to make sure the future never did exist once and for all, or some sort of story where they tried to prevent his immortality from happening, changing time yet again. And then the rest of the episode, as I mentioned earlier, this episode, the executive has had 4 episodes before this one, so him leaving halfway through is okay, unlike with Best Kept Secrets, where Katrina literally only appeared at the end of the 5th episode, and then only had half the 6th episode. And then it moved on to the Zachatrons. Here, like I said earlier, it's fine because the executive was in 4 previous episodes, plus a little bit of the first, and now he's had half this one, so he can go away now. He can go, he can come, and he's coming back. Well, could have come back. Yeah, Katrina just basically died. He could have come back if they were making future episodes. if they were going to make more, he could have come back in the future one. So yeah. So and then the Flower Alien God, he's going to act axed off in this at the end of this one, so we can have a little bit of time with this character. And he doesn't get the entirety of the last half. He pretty much gets killed off about 10 minutes before the end, 5-10 minutes before the end. So he only gets an extra 10 minutes of screen, because the executive kills himself about 5 minutes out. Yeah, 5 minutes in. So yeah, Liam goes off to battle the Flower Alien leader. Robin finds Zoe and kills her. Well, Zoe is the Flower Alien. And Mortis is now in charge of making a new team to stop anything coming through the new cracks in time. Thanks to the Flower Alien God. He created. Scarlet's alive. I'm sure you'll be glad to know that. Honestly, it probably wouldn't have been that much of a difference had she not survived. And nope, she will not be in the new team. And nope, she will not be... Well, actually, we don't know if she would have been Mortis' lover or not. Nothing was said about it. I don't believe she would be. So, she's just there, I suppose. Just a friendly face. And Robin goes off to travel the world after burying Zoe. Oh, yeah. And he finds Jackson... before he finds Zoe the Flower Alien, and Jackson's there at the funeral. I say funeral, and yeah, it's a pretty emotional final episode. It's just wrapping up. The wrapping up is just as good as the setting up, or can be as good as the setup. And in this case, it is a really emotional one because you think Liam is dead until Mortis is like, he's not dead, which makes anyone who's like, oh, maybe he isn't. They're like, yes, I knew it! And we're all looking forward to his return. Of course, we know he won't be back just yet. Mortis is going to be in charge for a while. And he's out trying to hopefully find a cure for their flowering and stuff. And look for his daughter. And just travel in time and space, basically. Because he's got the new vortex manipulator, courtesy of the dead Agent Obadiah. And Mortis is now in charge of protecting the Earth. Because he can't time travel or teleport now. So he's now going to have to build a team. A brand new team to make sure things, nice little reference and Easter egg to Dark Revelations. The last line Mortis said is a nice little nod to one of his lines in Dark Revelations. Things, to make sure things don't get nasty. The reference to the things are going to get nasty line in at the start of Dark Revelations. Oh, that is so good. It's brilliant. Oh, I can't believe this was the final episode. It's a fantastic episode, but it's the final one, which is such a shame considering they were going to make more. They were making more, and it looked like they had more in it. But at the same time, it also did feel a little bit like an ending, even though again it was also a setup as well. Series 1 to 3 could have only have been the beginning, or at least Series 3 be the middle, but because things didn't turn out the way they wanted, it eventually became the end. Much to everyone's disappointment. But yet, maybe one day Time Agent will return. Maybe more unfinished Series 4 content will be released. Or maybe the series itself will be remade / rebooted. Who knows? Next year is Time Agent's 10th anniversary. Something's got to happen, even if I have to make a bloody fan film tribute. Like these vlogs for the 9th anniversary. Someone's got to do something to celebrate its 10th years, even if it's not going to be a revival, reboot or remake. Or any new content. Someone's going to have to celebrate it somehow. So, yeah, you know what? Next year, I will be making a Time Agent tribute film, even if it's an Earth Agent special. Which I kind of have been writing a story basis for, but who knows? Maybe I can just make a Time Agent episode. Just spin-off, standalone. I mean, I love this series so much. Why not? It's not, especially if I don't affect the continuity. Another great, like with Doctor Who, the great thing about having your own Doctor in its own universe, own characters. Basically, a character you can literally have anyone play. Man, woman, so gender doesn't matter now. Race, sexuality, religion. Who gives a damn? You don't even have to be a good person anymore. It could pretty much be pretty rotten in some cases, or at least not as good as others. So the Doctor is pretty much a character you can have in any unit. You can have anyone playing. With Time Agent, whilst you've got these characters, you can't exactly have anyone playing because they're pretty much cemented with the characters, the actors playing them. Although the Mortis' Mission fan film, and a good example of a fan film of Time Agent, done well, does a good job with that. But another good thing is that Time Agent's bases could be all over the country. There were some other Time Agents series that I haven't seen yet because I think they're all gone. They're not up or gone. So you can make your own characters and just set it in the Time Agent universe. Reference Mortis if you need to. Reference reference Darkchester. So yeah, it'd be really cool. And that's the beauty of Time Agent. It's just as easily to make your own version of it as it is with Doctor Who, while staying similar or true to the original. And that's pretty much it from my Time Agent Series 1 to 3 ranking. So, with a little bit of time left, let me just go through the episodes once again for all 3 parts. So, number 22 was Series 1, Episode 5, The Mortis Code. Number 21 was the Series 1 Mid-Series 1 Special. Series 1 Mid-Series Special, Liam's Lessons. Number 20 was Series 1, Episode 1, the very first episode, Agent Liam. I still think there should be a pilot. There should have been a pilot. Just a little bit. I think this episode would have worked better if there had been a pilot. Number 19 is Series 1, Episode 3, Hardly Human. Number 18 is the first 2009 special, Earth's Guardians. Number 17 is Series 2, Episode 2, Crescent Street. Number 16 is Series 1, Episode 2, Metal World. Number 15 is Series 2, Episode 3, Redemption of Mortis. Number 14 is Series 3, Episode 4, One Against an Army. Number 13 is the second 2009 special, Memoirs of the Lost. Number 12 is Series 2, Episode... I put Episode 2 down for some reason, but it's actually Episode 6, Best Kept Secret. It's probably because I was copy and pasting some of this. Number 11, Series 1, Episode 4, The Lone Troop. Number 10, Series 1, Episode 6, Dark Revelations. Episode 9, Series 3, Episode 1, Point of No Return. Number 8, the third and final 2009 special, The Fallen Hero. Number 7, Series 2, Episode 1, The New Member. Number 6, Series 3, Episode 2, First Contact. Number 5, Series 2, Episode 4, The Musical. Number 4, Series 3, Episode 3, Downfall. Number 3, Series 3, Episode 5, Sins of the Past. Number 2, Series 2, Episode 5, The Nightmare Forest. And number 1, Series 3, Episode 6, Judgment Day. My god, what a fantastic episode. And the Series 4 stuff looked really good as well. It's just a shame it didn't come to completion. Oh, so that's it from the Time Agent vlogs. Of course, I still have to go and film some of them. But for you, it's all over. It's all done. Until next year's 10th anniversary celebrations, that is. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Time Agent rocks. Oh, and like I said earlier, this better be in the top 10 best Doctor Who fan films of the 2010s. If not, the very top. Series 3 alone should make it in the top 5. Series 2 added alongside it should make it in the top 3. Add everything from Series 1 and the specials, although they were pre-2010, and you've got the best fan film series of all time. As I said, I'll see you guys next time.